Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Brewing Connections with Bible Networkers, the podcast where faith meets entrepreneurship and real relationships matter. As you already know, my name is Anna Dominguez de Shaw. I'm the founder of Bible Networking, a group where we believe that when God is at the center of our business and connections, amazing things happen, doors open, purpose becomes clear, and lives are impacted. This podcast is all about sharing entrepreneur stories and how God has turned our journeys into purpose. There is so much we can learn from each other, and today is another example because we have a guest who is also a kingdom minded entrepreneur who is doing more than just building a business. She's building people, community, and purpose. Dr. Andrea Gleim is a bilingual psychologist, empowerment coach, and founder of Mindfully Mind and Therabus, who
Mhm.
helps high achieving women and leaders overcome burnout and lead with confidence and authenticity. With over a decade of experience, she blends psychology, mindfulness, and cultural insight to support ambitious professionals in pursuing success without losing themselves. A proud Latina and thought leader featured in major publications, she also hosts the Mindful Ambition podcast, focused
Mhm.
on purpose driven leadership. So, in this conversation, we'll talk about her journey of faith and entrepreneurship and how God has moved in her business, relationships, and what it really means to grow a network that honors God. And I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from her. So, welcome, Andrea.
Hi.
Thank you for
Thank you so
joining me
much for
today.
having me.
Yes, I'm excited to hear more all about you. So let's dive into your story. What inspired you to turn coaching and psychology into a purpose-driven calling?
So for me, I've always been the type of person that's always wanted to help people. And that has looked very different throughout my life. And then I went into a career that was exactly that, right? And as I was sitting across many different people, I mean, I saw many different walks of life, many different reasons that brought them to sit across from me. Some of them that had to be there, and some of them that voluntarily decided to be there, right? And the more and more experience I got, the more and more conversations I had with my clients, the more passionate I became to really help clients. Uh, But when you work with other people or under other people, you kind of tend to have to cater to their rules and their way of doing things, right? So I decided that I wanted to do things on my way and my terms, and I decided to start my private practice. And that's when I started Mindfully Mine. And I was already, when I was thinking about what I was going to name my practice, I was very intentional. Because everyone's like, oh, you can just be like Dr. Andre and Associates, right? And I was like, no, I don't want that. I want to be I want to really think about it. And so, mindfully mine, what that means is I am mindfully mine. I embrace all aspects of me. I embrace the good, the bad, the ugly, the insecurities, the things that, maybe I want to hide from, I'm going to embrace and accept because the moment that I accept those things that I want to push away and ignore, I now have ownership. I now have control. They no longer control me, nor can someone else use those insecurities to control me. But if I can really dive into those, then I am empowered and I can change things that I don't like. I can work on those things. But the more we ignore it, the louder it gets. But if
Mm,
we just embrace it and stop fighting and resisting against it, then we can grow from it. And so, one of the things that I always looked at or was always drawn to, was a lotus flower. And when you really look at a lotus flower, it's like this beautiful flower, but how does it grow? In muddied waters. And because of those muddy waters, it's why this beautiful lotus flowers is grown. So I always say, the muddy waters are all the experiences that we have, right? But all of us can grow into this beautiful lotus flower and blossom into that. And it's not rejecting the muddy waters that we have lived. It's actually embracing them.
I love it. Wow, that was very nice. So you can say that that was the biggest turning point in your career when
Yes.
you just you didn't want to follow those rules. You wanted to do it your way.
Yes. I didn't want to follow the red tape. I didn't want either other people or their structures and the way that they structured their clinics or whatever to say how I was going to do my thing. I really, I'm very client focused. And so I want to be able to do best by my client. It's why I decided to be a psychologist to begin with.
I love it. That's what we have all in common when we are self-employed or we have our
Mhm.
private practice or it's just entrepreneurship itself. It is because we're rebels. Like
Yes, we are.
we have that in common, and that's not a bad thing, Like I always say, God turns those things into good, and like I say with my kid now when he doesn't want to do something, I analyze it like why exactly, like he's been just a rebel and a brat, or he also wants his own things, like his own,
Mhm.
he has his own thinking. So I
Mhm.
love that. Okay, so that's another thing, that's motherhood, but anyway, so can
I
you
could talk about that too.
yeah, that's another podcast episode, but I love that. I love what you shared. And anyway, so now networking and connections. Can you share a time when a single connection changed everything for you?
Honestly, there has been multiple. And I think that every season of my life, there has been different connections. I mean, when I started my program, that my there was this one professor, two of them actually. One of them became a mentor first, and he helped me through the beginning of my career. And with him, hit with him and another two other colleagues of mine, we started a program at a homeless shelter. So we started a mental health program at a homeless shelter to be able to assist those that were residents at this homeless shelter. And I think that that was very pivotal because I learned so much from these clients and why they were there. And so that was like the beginning, right? Then as I continued to pursue my career, there was another professor, and I was like, I really think I want to start my private practice. And he was like, do it. You need a place to see your clients. Don't worry. Like I have an office. I'm not there X days, these days of the week. If you want to use the office, let me know. And that's how I started. I started because someone was like, do it. I believe in you. And that I can help you. And I think that that's so great. And I want to, one of the things I learned from that is that I also want to give that back, right? So give that back to new therapists that are coming, along the way that need to learn. And, becoming an entrepreneur, you're going to fall down a couple of times. You're going to scrape your knees a couple of times, then you're going to have to get back up and figure it out, right? And I think that's where a lot of the faith comes in, where it's like, you got to learn and you have to have faith that when you get back up, there's going to be a different solution, but you have to learn from that mistake. You got to learn from that lesson that, the universe, the world is trying to teach you from that. And so networking has been such a great component, a big component in growing the business, developing relationships with people to even have referrals being sent to me. And I have people telling me all the time, oh, I met someone and I really think that they would be great for you to work with. I gave them your information. And that to me, the minute someone says that they referred someone to me, I feel like that's the biggest compliment because you trust me with somebody else that to help them out.
Right, right, definitely, 100%. So or what's your approach in building those meaningful relationships in business? How do you nurture them? How do you follow up? How do you stay in touch?
Well, Well, I start with, do you have, well, I'm Latina, right? So I'm like, do you want to have a cafecito? Do you want to have cup of coffee? Let's start with coffee. Let's get to know each other. I think that's really the basis of any relationship, right? I need to know a little bit about you. Let's see if we connect, your energy. And then from there, be continuing to nurture them by either supporting them with something that they have going on, or lunches or other events. I think that nurturing a relationship is super important. And however that may be, whether that's going for lunch, whether that's checking in, whether it's a fellow entrepreneur and it's like, hey, just checking in, because as entrepreneurs, our brains are on fire 24/7, and we always have to kind of figure things out. And so, just checking in on fellow entrepreneurs and seeing how they're doing, I think that goes a long way, and actually wanting to get to know the person, not just for the purpose of a referral, but just even as a purpose to just know somebody, I think is important. That goes a lot further than going with the intention of like this person can be a referral source.
Exactly. Stop looking at them as clients, but referral.
Hmm.
I love
Hmm.
that. Awesome. So now, talking about your career and in your industry, what is a mistake that you've made in your journey that others can learn from?
I think a mistake that I have made is maybe jumping on things a little too quickly without doing thorough research. Right. And then with that can come costly mistakes, right? So asking for help, asking people for guidance who have already walked a path, I think is really important. They can guide you into what can help you and what can, steer you in the wrong direction, what can be costly. If you don't have the courage to accept that you don't know something, it can cost you a lot. And it can cost you time, it can cost you money. So being able to just, humble yourself in a way and say, you know what, ego aside, I don't know this thing. Let me find out who can help me with that.
Know your yes and your no. Yes, yes,
Yes.
no's. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give someone that is just started in your industry?
Get a mentor. First thing I would say, get a mentor, someone who practices the way that you want to practice, someone who focuses on the population that you are trying to focus on, and someone who has achieved what you're looking to achieve in like long term within your career, because that person will teach you a lot of things. To get you to where you want to be. And maybe you get there quicker than they did because they've already done a lot of mistakes along the
Right?
way.
Right? Yeah. I love that. Now, that what is something that you would like more people to know about networking, Andrea?
If you are in a room full of people and you are scared to talk to someone, good. Be in that room because that means that you don't know a lot of people and you're about to grow and get out of your comfort zone. I would say when you go into a networking event, try to make it a goal to talk to five people that you don't know and have five meaningful conversations, and then follow up with them and have those cafecitos or have those, lunches or breakfasts, because it's really about follow through. Getting to know somebody in that networking event is just the beginning, but then having that follow through is what's going to give you the results that you're looking for.
Building the community, right?
Hmm.
Awesome. Now, tell me what would be a dream connection to meet and why?
Oof, a dream connection to me. This is gonna sound insane. I am a huge baseball fan, right? And I have always, I'm a Yankee fan, and the captain, or who was the captain, Derek Jeter. I have always loved his drive. He is very driven, but the way that he presented himself, even like when you think about it, in the '90s when he was playing, like he was young and he presented himself very like a leader. At a
Mhm.
young age, he presented himself as a leader. I've always been very his philosophy of winning, but his philosophy of hard work, his philosophy of ethic, like the ethic behind his work ethic, and how he always wanted to you bring that team, right? And so for me, that connection. If I ever got to meet him, I that would be a dream come true.
Oh, well, if he's listening,
Yeah, Derek Jeter, if
good
you're
talk.
listening.
Awesome. Now, what is a book or a podcast besides, Babel networkers, and all of that,
Hmm.
but or a tool that you cannot live without right now?
So I'm glad that you said tool because I am a big believer of I tell everybody you need to have enough tools in your toolbox to be able to get through things in life, right?
Mhm.
Um, Personally speaking, there's many different tools and techniques therapeutically, but there is one thing that I always come back to, and it's meditation and yoga. And I find that those two things help me so much. And I have worked with clients who tell me I cannot meditate, and but they have big faith and they are religious. And I said, do you do prayer? And they say, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, that can be your form of meditation, right? You do prayer, you listen, you read the Bible, right? Like those things, I feel like you have to be very disciplined in the things that you're integrating in your life that are for you, that is not for anybody else. And for me, one of those things has been for a long time, has been movement through yoga, and meditation.
I love it. Yes. That time, how you start your day, that pretty much
Hmm.
is gonna dictate how your day is gonna
Hmm.
be. So yeah.
I know when I'm feeling scrambled, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing the things that I know are supposed to that I know help me. So let me go back to my roots. Let me go back to the things that are grounding me. I'm very big with sitting outside and just feeling the grass on my feet or sitting on the grass and just feeling it on my hands because I find it to be very grounding in the chaos.
Wow, I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you for the tip.
Absolutely.
Now, what is a fun fact about you that most people in your professional network do not know, but they're gonna know now?
Oh, a fun fact. Well, I grew up in New Jersey. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and then I moved to Tampa. In that time, so much happened, and I think that what a lot of people don't know is that in that time, um, I was very how do I put this? A lot of changes ended up happening. And, you still have to show up for the people around you and you still have to show up for everybody around you. But, you know, in that time, my husband was unemployed and it was a very difficult time. And somehow we made it through and we made it past that. But, with that, I find that I channeled a lot of my grandmother. My grandmother is a huge influence in my life. My mom is another one. I'm surrounded. I am very lucky to be surrounded by very strong women, but they became strong because of the life that they have lived, right? Um, but in those moments where I felt like, man, life is like kicking me right now, I still showed up, and I showed up because of them. Honestly, they have given me strength in ways that I can't even explain.
Yep, that's your people trying to encourage.
Those are my people.
I
Those are
love
the, those
that.
are they're my anchors. And you know, my grandmother's 91 years old. She has her bakery. She gets up every morning. She
Oh,
goes to her bakery. She still opens it up, does what she needs to do. And if my grandmother can at going to be 91 next month, then I can at my age.
well, yeah, you had strong examples. I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what are you currently working on that you are excited about, and how can we support you?
So I'm working on a couple of things. Well, number one, I am working on growing my practice, but I am looking forward to starting writing my book. So be on the lookout for any book that might be coming out probably next year. But I am working on that.
I love that. Awesome. Of course, you're going to invite us for the signing.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's exciting. Awesome. So, is there anything else, Andrea, that you like to add before we finish this episode?
Well, to anybody listening who, if anything that I said resonated with them, it's, one thing I always tell people is with the story that I shared, it's like it's sometimes there's going to be a million things telling you not to, and maybe holding you back or trying to convince you that this is not meant for you. but keep on trying. Like if you really want something and you really have big dreams, like there's gonna if it's scary, then good. Lean into it with curiosity. Don't let it be something that stands in your way.
I love that. Keep showing up,
Yeah.
keep building meaningful relationships, keep working on purpose. The
Hmm.
best is still ahead, right?
The best is coming.
I love that. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much for what
Thank
you
you.
shared. We're gonna put your information in the caption so people that wanna reach out to you, they have the direct access to your information. It
Oh,
was a
thank you.
pleasure talking to you, and
Likewise.
we're gonna keep building this relationship, I am sure. So
Thank
everyone
you.
else, so thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure talking to Andrea, and I'm sure that just as I did, you are gonna learn a lot of things from this episode. So if we see you or if you attend our networking meetings in person or virtually, I'll see you there. In the meantime, stay blessed and connected. Thank you.